Peter Jivima with the story on drug and substance abuse, and we hope that everyone will play their part in combating this menace. But speaking of playing their part, today we are joined in studio by engineer Edzai Kachirekwa. And for those of you that are always on the morning bulletin, you know that when engineer is in studio, he's here to talk about green energy. Good morning and welcome to the studio.
Very good morning to you, Nicola.
Yes. Let's start off now by taking a look at the adaptability and the practicality of bringing green energy into the country.
Thank you very much. I think the most important thing is for us as a nation and as people to try to also make sure that we move with the times, especially like now. Adapting to green energy is something that starts with us. It starts with me as a human being, my character towards that. What do I understand what it basically means? But it's very practical, because if you look at other countries, especially the Western countries, Asian countries, you notice that some are actually working on almost 94% of their green energy. It's working on 94% is green energy, and 6% is just most likely maybe fossil, which they're actually putting away. But adapting that here is very possible and very practical as well.
But you know, others might argue that it is possible and easier for economies that can afford.
Yes.
Can Zimbabwe and Africans actually afford to move towards green energy? I mean, we're speaking solar power.
Yeah.
That needs money to be acquired to begin with.
Well, the most important thing is that there are certain issues that we need to look into. Obviously, we're looking at our financing models, which might be a little bit difficult, but looking at a country like Zimbabwe, this country is very rich, especially when you look at our minerals. You're looking at a country which can actually produce something like, which is more than 12 billion in minerals, and we are looking at putting probably maybe just a minimum of about 5,000 megawatts of solar. So if we are then to say, let's do A, B, C, D robustly and agree that this is what we are doing, this is the direction that we are now taking. And it requires policymakers as well to deliberately come into play and make sure that everything that needs to be done, especially in the green energy, is done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, one factor that we can never ignore when it comes to green energy is the issue of climate change, because specifically we're talking solar, we're talking hydropower, electricity.
Yeah.
Now, how do you see us moving in this climate change era? Is it something that we can evade? Is it something that we could possibly also just go past and successfully bring green energy onto the continent?
It's very possible. It's unfortunate that sometimes, like you rightfully highlighted, that it's very expensive. If you look at our annual budgets at global level, you need about approximately $9.2 trillion annually for us to transition into green energy. And when we look at our hydro, it's no longer sustainable.
Yeah.
It's no longer sustainable because of climate change. But if you look at solar, Zimbabwe, we have got approximately 8 hours of sunshine. And I think that is the best way we can do. And I think the other option which the country can actually do is to put issues to do with mandatory domestic energy funds. That one, it can raise approximately 30 to 45 megawatts per month, because the country itself can actually generate approximately 45 to 48 million per month. And it's quite possible for us to transition to green energy. Yes.
But obviously, you know, there's been a lot of construction going
Yes.
on in the country right now.
Yeah.
And speaking of a smart city that's supposed to come into fruition in Mount Hapden. How have you seen the integration of green energy into the new projects that are coming in? Are we at a commendable rate, or should we do more as a country?
I think this is the time now when we say whatever we are doing, the architectural, the buildings themselves, we must consider making sure that no structure has to come in without being solar powered. That's point number one. It has to be mandatory. If you're going to be putting your house should have a 3 kVA as your minimum to be on that house. And then at the same time, in terms of designing of the new cities, we have to make sure that we are designing solar parks for those new cities. That's my thinking, and that it has to be taken and it has to be mandatory. if we are to achieve that. Yes.
I hope those that are watching this will take this into consideration, that point that Engineer Isaac Chirekwa just put through right now. But I understand there's a conference that's on the cards that's supposed to convince more people to jump onto this green energy trend. Maybe you can tell us more about the conference. When is it happening, and who can be a part of it?
Well, I think what we really need to have a look, especially looking at the conference which we are actually going to be holding anytime soon, is that we need everyone to be conscientized. We need to educate each and every citizen, and we need to catch our children from 5 years up to 70 years so that they understand that this is the time we are now transitioning from fossil, we are now transitioning into making sure that we live a green energy. Looking at the climate effects, we need to mitigate everything that has got to do. Because look, our health is more important.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming into studio and for shedding more light in this green energy. It is my hopes that Zimbabweans that are watching right now will also move with the times. You know, we're speaking things like climate change, which can obviously be reversed if we were to move into cleaner energy sources. That's particularly your green energy. And we're speaking solar energy and hydropower energy. And we were joined in studio by Engineer Isaac Chirekwa. Now, coming up next, we give you The Rise Lifestyle.